What's up, Lyman Lounge faithful? I know that's what you've all been waiting for, a mock draft from me and Mike. I already put out my 1.0, but we just can't have an echo chamber of me, taking 8 picks for the Vikings in the first round because we're using a mock draft simulator or something like that. We got to have some checks and
Probably would have
balances
happened.
and some other thoughts here. So it is both me and Sleeveless Mike here running a mock draft, our 1.0 for the Lyman Lounge. And we're going to be running this off of PFF's mock draft simulator. There is obviously pros and cons with any of these mock draft simulators out there. But at the end of the day, this is just us taking the picks that, we think A, probably will happen, or B, should happen. It'll probably be a little bit of a mix of a predictive and what we would do. But, because we both would be fantastic GMs of football teams, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. So if anyone ends up watching this, Questio Duff Mensa, if you end up watching this and you really like our thought process, by all means, I'll take a job.
Andrew Barry, I'll take an internship in your media department. I don't even need to be. I'll do the media thing. Just give me that. By the way, I'm going to need an internship my senior year of college, so I'll take one of those for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, so I'm going to be running the odds for this draft. Mike's going to be running the evens. We are going to be doing some trades or allowing trades. At least it doesn't mean that they're going to happen.
Yeah.
But we are going to try to simulate those trades, much like I kind of did with my first mock draft. The trades, we're not going to get deep into necessarily the trade compensation. Like when we pull up a trade on here, I'm not going to say, oh, this is obviously this pick, but it is going to come into play when we're going to have some teams vying to move up to get a quarterback who potentially could be there. We're going to talk a little bit like we did on our last episode of Lyman Lounge about who has the most trade capital, who's the most likely, things like that, what it's going to end up taking in the range of what it will take. But we're not going to get into the actual trade charts or anything like that and find total numbers and stuff like that. But with that, are you ready to get kicked off, Mike?
Fuck yeah, let's do this, man.
All righty. And with the number 1 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns are trading up. They're
Don't fucking do that. I would like to have a first round pick again at some point. Fuck them picks hasn't turned into a Super Bowl. So I want that first round pick next year.
Yeah, well, if we're going with your guys' recent quarterback selection and some of the memes I've seen out there, are you guys going to be bringing P. Diddy in to your locker room?
No, we're not bringing P. Diddy in. P. Diddy is going to jail for a very, very long time.
Fair enough. All right. Well, the most obvious pick in this draft, I believe, is Caleb Williams. We haven't done our episode yet of the Lyman Lounge going over our quarterbacks that are entering this year's draft. That should be next week. So I don't think we need to get super deep into our discussion of thoughts on quarterbacks, but it seems pretty obvious at this point. Obviously, Justin Fields has been traded. And with the Bears having that number 1 overall selection, you're probably going to take the guy who's the most talented. I know Mike and I both have our own thoughts about Caleb Williams and whether we would like our teams to take him and things like that. But for the Bears, he seems like the most likely pick here. And so old pink fingernails, Caleb Williams is going to the Chicago Bears.
I don't mind the pink fingernails or the pink phone case. That doesn't bother me. It's some of the other stuff that I don't love.
Yeah.
But there are some things that I do love about him as well. I mean, I'm excited for next week.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get off on a tangent too far because the Commanders are on a clock and Commanders need a quarterback because they traded away Sam Howell, who I think is going to have a chance to go and compete for a starting job up there in Seattle, right?
I mean, it's possible for sure. Like Geno Smith is getting up there in age. His contract is something that they can move off from. So if Sam goes up there and shows out really well, they could try to move forward with him. I liked what I saw from him over the past 2 years.
4,000 yards last year, man. Like he looked pretty good.
No, he has a bit of Jameis Winston in him where he will match the amount of touchdowns with interceptions. But how much of that was a product of the offense that he was in, not having an offensive line? I mean, he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks. That's going to cause you to do a lot of things wrong. But he's a guy that I was like saying for the Vikings, hey, bring him in for like a 5th round pick or something like that. I wouldn't mind to have him out there competing. He's shown that he can run an NFL offense, and you put him under, a good offensive scheme coordinator and a good offensive line. Maybe he turns into something that we could trade later or something like that. But he's with the Seahawks.
From one vertical offense to another vertical offense. It could have worked.
Yeah. And so, but he's with the Seahawks now, and that basically leaves the Washington Commanders with almost next to nothing there in that quarterback room other than Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. So they have to go quarterback. Now, the question is, what quarterback are they going to take? Jaden Daniels obviously has flown up the board, Heisman winner. Weird fucking elbow apparently, but I don't know if that's going to really matter. Drake May, for all intents and purposes, should have been this pick, and I thought was going to be this pick for quite a while. He had a not great pro day. There are a lot of knocks that are coming to light on Drake May. So I don't know if Drake May is the choice here. I think that Jaden Daniels will be the guy. I don't love this for Jaden Daniels because he's going to be forced to play immediately in Washington. But I feel like that's where the way they're going to go. He's the more dynamic of the two players, for sure.
All right. So locking that one in.
Yep. Jaden Daniels.
All right. Jaden Daniels going to the Washington Commanders. And I actually think that's the smart play there. Jaden Daniels has still a ton of upside, good runner, good thrower of the ball. We don't know how well he can throw the ball over the middle of the field because LSU didn't ask him to do that as much, but I think that he's going to be perfectly capable of doing that. Look, I said at the in the offseason when going through all these teams, I think the Washington Commanders have the chance to be one of the quickest movers as far as like, going up in their, division, from last year to this year. If they get a solid offensive line out there for him or some semblance of an offensive line,
yeah,
he could perform really well because they already have a good receiving core. They've got a decent running back.
They couldn't protect the soul. Sam Howell threw for 4,000 yards and he was sacked 40 plus times. Yeah. Like they were dropping back so much. Jaden Daniels is a guy that can't escape, knows how to manipulate the pocket if he has to. And that's a big struggle for Drake May is pocket manipulation. And if there is no pocket, I don't know if he's a good enough athlete to beat DNs. Jaden Daniels is. It makes more sense for the Commanders, in my opinion. But we got about 28 days until we figure that out.
Yep. Yeah, and that's if they made some additions to the offensive line there. I still think that they have more work to do, obviously, and this is a good draft to do that in with a lot of strong offensive line talent. But that takes us to pick 3 here with New England Patriots. So, how much do you believe Robert Kraft's statements at the NFL owners meeting about, hey, a quarterback's the most important position on the field, but we got a lot of holes to fill, and I'm going to trust my GM and my coach, and they're going to know what's best to do. And then you also have Elliot Wolf there acting as the de facto GM. He's following in the footsteps of his father, Ron Wolf, who built a system up there in Green Bay of taking quarterbacks and letting them sit and mature behind a veteran for a while until they're good to go and not forcing a quarterback pick. Would it be forcing a quarterback pick here for the Patriots, or is because next year is such a lower talented quarterback draft as it kind of force the situation and make them have to take a quarterback?
I believe Robert Kraft. I think they are open for business. I believe that this is the first place that we could see a trade. Just because at this point, is there a guy that they love? I don't know. Maybe they love JJ here though. And Drake May is the guy that's supposed to go. Maybe they feel like they can get JJ a little later on. So they trade down. They'll trade down to a 5 but the trade partner coming up is more than likely you guys at this point. Outside chance it's the Broncos. And from all accounts, the Vikings are falling in love with JJ McCarthy. So JJ McCarthy, if he doesn't go here to the Patriots, who else is coming up to get a quarterback? Are you guys going to get Drake May at 3? I don't think so.
I mean, the predominant thought process is that the Vikings have like a 1A, 1B situation with Drake May and JJ McCarthy. We talked a little bit beforehand, but I am feeling a little bit safer with JJ McCarthy at this point, but I also don't think that we need to move up to 3 to get him. I think that 4 makes a lot of sense and 5 makes a lot of sense where we could still get him, but that's definitely within the striking. Sense. Yeah, that would be the best. My dream scenario is to get McCarthy at 5 because we're having to give up less draft capital, but still getting our guy that we want. I'm curious to see, and I guess I hadn't really explored this option, but do you think that the Patriots would be willing to trade with the Giants to go down to number 6, where the Giants would be coming up for a quarterback?
Yep.
Probably a Drake May or a JJ McCarthy.
It would be one of the two for sure.
And then, the Patriots are able to get a little bit of extra draft capital. The Vikings could still move up to pick 4 or 5 and get one of those two in Drake May or JJ McCarthy in this scenario. But the the Giants moving up there, like who would the Patriots kind of be targeting then if they were to fall down towards a pick 6? Would it be a
Uh,
Joe Alt?
it could be a Joe Alt. They do have a need at tackle. They also have a massive need at wide receiver.
Mhm.
So this is a really tough pick. Like, you could go Marvin Harrison here. I don't do. I think they're going to trade this though. They're going to trade to somebody who wants a quarterback. If it's you guys, I think you guys trade up and go. I think you guys still go JJ McCarthy. Drake May, I could see going to the Giants. Maybe the Giants trade up 2, 3 to make sure they get their guy, and then you're looking at a trade at 5 probably. But where do you think you're going here? Where do you see this trade happening?
So my gut tells me that if we trade with the Patriots, that this trade is going to be executed here in the next couple weeks before the draft. The way that Mark Wilf was kind of grinning on his interview and stuff like that, and the way that the team has talked about how we've got, contingency plans in place for this, that, and the other. I think that if they can make the draft compensation work, which again, we're not trading for pick 23 unless we've already had conversations with teams here in the top 5 about what it's going to take. I think that pick would, or that trade would take place before the draft because the Vikings will probably feel comfortable with either Drake May or JJ McCarthy. If they wait and they take a trade at pick 4 or 5, they know that they're going to get the 4th quarterback off the board, which doesn't really mean anything if he's like the number 1 or 2 guy on your board, but still, that from optics and stuff like that, it's not going to look as great, but you are basically leaving it up to chance as to which quarterback is falling to you. And we don't really know, we don't know the grades on these guys that the teams have. They could have JJ McCarthy rated as a 91 and Drake May rated as a 91 and a half, where the difference really isn't there. And so they don't care which one they get. But more than likely, they're going to have one of them rated higher than the other enough where they're going to say, yeah, this is our guy that we want. If we get the other guy, we're still going to be happy with it. Um, I mean, it makes sense to execute this trade here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do it with the Vikings. I would, again, I
Okay.
would much prefer for us to wait till pick 5. But the way that we've been aggressive this offseason, as far as acquiring that extra first round pick, I don't think that Questiadofo Mensa or KOC or the team in the ownership group is in a position to wait and hope that they get what they want. So I'm going to go ahead, execute the trade here with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, as far as compensation, again, we're not going to go deep into this, but it's going to take 11, it's going to take 23, and it's probably going to take more because whether you believe there's quarterback tax or not, it's going to take more. And I don't think that we have enough to really do anything with this year's picks other than maybe throwing in some sort of a late round pick as just a sweetener. It's probably going to end up taking next year's first round pick. The question to you, and you have to
Yeah.
keep me in check here, is do you think that we're able to get anything back by throwing in that first round?
I think at most you're going to get 137 back.
137 this year?
Yes, 137 this year is the most you could get back. But
What
that
about a
also might.
future? What about a future pick?
Oh,
I would because if I'm the Vikings, where we already gave away our second next year to get to 23, we'll be having 2 third-round comp picks next year and our own third round, which is nice. But
well,
I
what are
think
you
that if they're
looking to
trading
get
pick
back
1,
here?
I mean, I would love a round 2, but I think a round 3 is probably closer to what
A
option
third
would be.
rounder next year?
Which,
Oh,
they devalue by a round, so it's a 4th rounder.
yeah. And which is 137's fourth round, beginning of the fourth round.
Yeah.
So that could work. I could see that. I would do a third rounder as
I
well.
just and
2025.
I'm scared that isn't. I mean, I'm not necessarily scared. I think if we move to pick 3, I'm completely fine with us trading our first round next year and getting nothing else in return.
Right.
That's the price to play poker. Um, but if we're able to get something back, that'd be cool. Either way, that I think that
You might
Vikings
see a
fans,
5. You might see a 5 next year go out as well, along with that, just
or if
to
we get a third or a second back from New England next year, we're going to have to give another pick this year, which
yeah.
again, I'm kind of okay with as long as it's not that first pick in the 4th round that we end up having. We've got a couple fourths, a couple fifths, things like that. So, but either way, we don't have to get super deep into that conversation because I'm just going to leave the pick as it is right here with an extra first next year.
Yep.
Me personally, while it sucks to lose my first round pick next year, if it means getting a franchise quarterback, I'm cool with that. So I'm just going to go
Dude, I
ahead,
can't
force the trade through.
fucking wait to talk about first round talent again.
Absolutely.
Drafting first round talent is going to be so fun again.
Uh huh. All right. And with the third pick, the Minnesota Vikings are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair up with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fucking wild? Sam Darnold led offense and just elite wide receivers everywhere. But no, now the real question is which quarterback, Drake May or JJ McCarthy? If I had to do predictive, I think it's going to be Drake May. I think for
Yeah.
whatever reason, the Vikings like Drake May better than JJ McCarthy. That being said, they did have a extra interview with him after his pro day. But with JJ McCarthy, they flew him out there and had him out at the Vikings practice facility for 2 days. So they did work with him and they had some time with him. So while predictive would be Drake May here, I personally like JJ McCarthy better for us. I'm going to be taking JJ McCarthy here. And if you listen to some of the scuttlebutt, which again, silly season, they're apparently coming out of the owners meeting. A lot of teams saying that they think Washington might consider JJ with the second pick.
I was also going to talk about it, but I just Jaden Daniels right there is good. Jaden Daniels could fall though.
Yeah, it's. I don't think any of these 4 quarterbacks make it past pick 7.
No.
And when I say pick 7, who the
Somebody will
Titans are,
trade up.
someone would trade up by then.
Yeah.
That's absolutely within striking distance for one of the Broncos, the Raiders, or someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so with the 4th overall pick, this one it seems like a fucking cakewalk now, especially with the way the board fell. Vikings trade up to 3. Trade partners here. You're only looking at we'll get into the Giants. Well, if you slide behind the Chargers, you don't get your guy. If you slide behind the Chargers, Marvin Harrison is a fucking Charger. Guaranteed. The Cardinals are taking Marvin Harrison Jr. That's I comp him to Larry Fitzgerald. I know we talked about it during the show. A lot of Cardinals fans comp him to Larry Fitzgerald. They want that next Larry Fitzgerald. If they don't make this pick and he's sitting right there, there might be riots in Phoenix.
Right. And I think that there probably will be riots because the Cardinal fans really, really want Marv. The only question that I would have is, do you think that at this point, now we're talking about Drake May, formerly considered the second best quarterback in this draft, now he's falling. Do you think that the Giants and Broncos are still in talks to try to move up? And would the Cardinals then be considering, hey, we only have to move down 2 spots with the Giants. We're still going to get one of Malik Neighbors or a Marvin Harrison.
Now, Malik Neighbors absolutely, I believe, could be the first one off the board. I actually predicted that he will be the first one off the board because I don't think that you guys trade up to 3. I think it's really high. I believe they're probably going to. I think they're going to take a quarterback. They might take Drake May. They might take your guy McCarthy because they do need a quarterback. The Patriots absolutely do need a fucking quarterback. But if their quarterback goes there, the first wide receiver off the board, who are they going to move down? They cannot move behind the Chargers. They can't. The Chargers will absolutely take Marv.
Well, that's if the Vikings were to trade down with the Cardinals at 4, they're already giving up on Marv. They're figuring to trade back up potentially for an Adunze or
you have to get you have to have them, and I know you and I both have Marv and Malik like 1A, 1B. They're very, very close. But you would have to get an absolute haul to give up Marvin Harrison Jr.
I would think so, but I don't know how. Like everyone thinks in Cardinals country that Monty Ossenfort is as savvy as they come, and I think that he did a really good job with last year's draft. But I think that he also recognizes that this team has a lot of holes, and so any extra draft capital could be worth it. Do you think that the Giants would even consider like just trading a future first or a future second just to move up 2 spots? And would that be enough for you to say?
I think the Giants very much want to find another goddamn quarterback. They've shown as much this offseason in being aggressive for other guys when they have a quarterback on their roster who's making what $40 million fucking dollars next year.
Yeah.
So it's not outside the realm of possibility. And if they can do it on a rookie contract, why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Uh, that's my fear as well with Brian Dable. I think that he already can feel the fire on the seat. And same with Sean or Shane, whoever however you pronounce their
Whoever the
GM.
fuck gave Danny Dimes his contract, yeah, should be
Yeah.
on the hot seat.
So with Drake May, I think a lot of people have felt like he's a little bit more plug and play, ready to play than some of the other quarterbacks in this class. If they were to make a move to get Drake May, those the head coach and GM probably feel like, hey, this just bought us an extra 2 to 3 years, whereas before we might be gone after this season. So I think that's why they might be considering being a little bit more aggressive to move up and get a guy as well. But either way, do you want to go ahead and take Marv at this pick, or would you want to?
No, yeah, we're taking Marv. I'm
All
taking
right,
Marv. They're gonna want him. That they are dying to get Marv.
all righty. Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals. All right, pick 5 on the clock with the Chargers, and then we're gonna have this conversation again. Is someone going to be willing to try to trade up to get Drake May, who is now kind of falling? At this point, I don't see
Uh,
it being the Giants because, yeah, they're a pick back and they're salivating, thinking either we're going to get this guy falling
yeah,
to
but
us or
you're
we're going
gonna
to get a
have to
wide
give
receiver.
up a 2 to move up a spot that
Yeah.
you're not sure if anybody's gonna go up and get.
Now,
The Broncos at 12, the Raiders at 13. The
do you think
Broncos have
Harbaugh?
the players that maybe the Chargers would want.
That's the thing is you pair up Asante Samuel Jr. and the cornerback from Denver plus a first round pick next year.
Yeah.
Is that
You
enough
got
for them?
Derwin James in the secondary. Like that could be a very dangerous. Like we were talking Chargers, Broncos, but this makes it even tougher. That's interdivision trading.
Exactly. That's
All
the
three
problem.
of those are interdivision trading.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are the Chargers? The Chargers are gonna fucking fleece. I won't say the word that starts with R and ends with ape. One of these two to get that to make that trade happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's where we're not just talking a quarterback tax. We're talking an intra-division tax for a quarterback. They're
Yeah.
looking to really hold them over the knee, and yeah, that's a
So
tough
then you
one.
probably got to go receiver here. Would be
Yeah,
my guess.
yeah, that's the only other option that I would really think here, other than a Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze to the Chargers, would be a Joe Alt because they could use more help along that offensive line. The thing is, they already have their left tackle. Joe Alt to me is a left tackle. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to try to flip him. So if we're not trading out of this spot, then yeah, I'm going wide receiver, and I'm gonna go with my 1B and Malik Neighbors. Even though Dunze, I comp to Keenan Allen, and they just lost Keenan Allen, so bringing another Keenan Allen in would be very nice. Malik Neighbors is just kind of that different X factor, so we're gonna go with a Malik Neighbors here to the Chargers.
All right. I mean, that makes so much sense to me. But moving on to the Giants, who I don't think we're expecting to have the opportunity to take a quarterback. However, are they taking the quarterback that is very similar to their current quarterback?
Maybe.
They are very similar. They can Danny Dimes, for all the things that he does bad, has talent. He
Mhm.
can run. He has a pretty goddamn strong arm. He is fairly accurate. I wouldn't say overly accurate, but he's average accurate for an NFL quarterback. He just makes really bad decisions and has no ball security.
Mhm.
He's gonna turn the ball over.
And they
Drake
don't really
May,
have a great receiving core either, so it's not
they
like you've
do
got a ton
not.
of options that are gonna lift him up.
Correct. And Drake May has some also struggles, forces the ball into some bad areas, has not good pocket presence. I don't know if Drake May is as good as an athlete as, Vanilla Vic.
Mhm.
So if they make this pick, and this might be a gateway into the way I'm starting to feel a little bit about Drake May, do they really make an upgrade? I don't know.
Is there an immediate upgrade? No, I think because we don't know the potential of Drake May. Like Drake May still could hammer out the problems that he has, and at that point, he is way better than Danny Dimes. For me, it's the hot seat thing as well. Like I think that
Yeah.
you have Dable and Shane on the hot seat already, whether they know it or not. I believe they are on the hot seat. getting a rookie quarterback buys you an extra couple years in your
But
job
what is
position
this
to
rookie
fail.
quarterback going to do with no weapons? Because
Well,
I still
right.
have a Roma Dunze sitting here, and I have a Joe Alt who can absolutely shore up my left side of the line
For s
because Danny Dimes is not getting any help there either. So
I
they
think
have the pick of what they want.
I think that they're gonna be looking at it as it doesn't matter what the team looks like. If we get a quarterback, we just bought ourselves an extra 2 years, and if we pass on the quarterback, we might be fired tomorrow.
Mm.
Just from the New York media and stuff being like, "Oh, we're just gonna keep rolling with Danny Dimes," when you had Drake May, former second best quarterback in this draft, fall into your lap.
Yeah. That's
That's
a
the part.
hard
Do
that's
I
a
think
hard pill to sell in fucking New York.
Yeah, do I think it's a great fit? Not necessarily. It could be. I mean, there's all this talk. I mean, some people try to comp Drake May to Josh Allen. I don't think that's the case. But Dable did great things with Josh Allen, especially after a year of him not looking as good as he could. Josh Allen, second year, looked really damn good. Saw that big
And I
upgrade.
cannot see the Giants trading out of this spot.
Mm,
They need a premier talent. They're not going down to 12 or 13, even though you can still get a premier talent there in this draft.
yeah.
They're not moving down. They're gonna pick here. Um fuck, they gotta go Drake May. I'm gonna have them draft Drake May.
All
They
right.
cannot roll Danny Dimes out there again
Yeah. All right,
without
well,
some
I mean,
vitriol.
I was going to say
If
Danny Dimes
if
very well
Drake
could
May
start.
if Drake May falls into their lap, they have to take him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's I would be questioning the pick if they didn't. Not just because like I have my questions and my reservations about Drake May, and I'd absolutely have my reservations about that Giants team overall. But I feel like it would be career suicide for the GM and the head coach there not to be bringing in that quarterback if he falls to you, even if he ends up being no better than Danny Dimes. Um, all right. That brings us to pick 7, Titans on the clock, and I feel like this is the easiest pick of all. It's Joe Alt all day. Could they consider a Roma Dunze? Sure. Could they consider Brock Bowers? Sure. You want to give weapons and stuff like that to Will Levis, but in order for Will Levis to
Protect him.
be effective at all, you have to protect him. Yeah. So you've got a new running game there. You got a new offense. You've got a couple receivers out there, and D Hop and Calvin Ridley and stuff like that. And who was the first runner a couple years ago that we weren't big fans of, but he could be a solid number 2 or 3, I guess. Either way, you need to keep Will Levis upright. And this is going to be
Yeah.
one of the strongest left sides of your offensive
Traylon
line.
Burks was the name, right?
Yeah, Traylon Burks.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have one of the strongest left sides of the line, or you're gonna feel really good about it, at least having Joe
Yeah.
Alt and then Peter Skoronsky, and then they just brought in a center this offseason too. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. So they got a good core going there on the left side. So Joe Alt all day for me. Easiest pick in the draft. Next to Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Agreed. This pick, this is gonna get tough. BPA, I don't know if BPA makes sense because BPA is Rome Dunze. They obviously have a ton of weapons, but we don't know if how they're gonna look, what they're gonna do with this new offense that's coming with Kirk Cousins. This feels so much like a trade down spot to me. With what they need, there are teams that are hungry for weapons. I still have a Roma Dunze. I have a Brock Bowers on the fucking board. Like there are teams that need offensive fucking players. I feel like this is a trade down, but at this point, who badly needs a receiver that wants to jump Chicago?
The closest option in my eyes is the Jets or the Pats. Jets do want an offensive talent, I think. That now we talked 2 weeks ago about the offensive line there and how they need more offensive line help. But when I did my mock draft, I went back and looked at their roster. They brought in Tyron Smith, who's not a long-term answer there, but also they don't have a
No, but
long-term answer at quarterback. So they're looking for a win now type of situation. And they brought in some other pieces, Moses at right tackle. They've got Elijah Vera Tucker, who is flexible in his position. Like they've got their offensive line is better today than it was last year at this point, and they can still get an offensive lineman in round 2 or something like that could potentially help them out. Whereas if you are truly in a win now mode with Aaron Rodgers and you think that you've got 1 to 2 years to kind of do this with him, you want to give him as much offensive talent as possible. So the Jets aren't going to get a Roma Dunze if they sit at pick 10. They might get a
yeah,
Brock Bowers if you feel good about that, but they're not going to get an Odunze, and so I could see them being willing to possibly move up for that. It's not a huge jump for them to move
I
up, but
just
they did
I
just
can't
trade.
see a guy that the Falcons really want to take here that makes sense value wise.
Other
Now,
than a
obviously,
defensive player, but the defensive player that
we
they
don't
would
want to
take here at
draft
8.
for need specifically. Like you would
Yeah,
love to go BPA, but BPA is you're putting too many weapons almost on the field now.
yeah.
Like
You're
Perk
you're
can't get
flooding it with
yeah.
offensive talent. Look, I think the same thing with the Falcons is that they feel like they are getting into a window, but they have so much offensive talent that's been unrealized there, or at least that's how they have to view it. With a Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan, they've got offensive talent. Now having Mooney and other guys there is unrealized. They have to hope for the best and think that that'll be enough to make it work. Rome Odunze would kind of be putting them over the top, but on the defensive side of the ball, they have a lot of work still to
They
do.
have
And so,
so many holes. They got to
yeah.
trade down.
And if they
Uh
trade down into pick 10, pick 11, something like that, they'll probably get the same exact defensive player that they would have considered taking at this spot.
yeah. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm actually gonna trade my pick with my own pick. I'm gonna go trade with the Falcons to the Jets
To the Jets. All right.
because for everything that it is.
Yep.
So obviously the first this year, I think you gotta give up the third for sure. And maybe a next year too. Fuck, that's not enough, is it?
To move from pick 8 to pick 10, I think that it's a spot where the Falcons aren't able to really twist the tit of the team that they're trading with here. I think that if you're getting the first pick and this 72nd overall pick, which is a third round pick from the Jets to move up, like the Jets can't offer much more unless they offer future draft capital.
They're gonna have to do a 3 next year, I think.
And as of right now, the trade might not be updated on here, but the Jets just traded for Hassan Reddick, and it was a 3 that could elevate to a 2.
Oh, okay. So
So
that's
that's the scary
conditional.
part
So
of
those
here.
are locked up here.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the tough part. I don't think once it is part of a condition, they can't trade
Yeah, they
it even
cannot
with.
move it. They absolutely cannot move either one of those picks.
Yeah. But honestly, again, we don't have to go super deep into the trade compensation here, but I think that the third round pick for the Jets, while it's going to be a tough pill for them to swallow to move up like that, they
At
might be willing to do it.
72, yeah.
The Falcons might be willing to take that just because they could package 72, 74 to move back up in the second round, get another guy, and
Yeah.
the Falcons aren't in a position where they're moving down 2 slots and they're still going to get the same guy. You know, the only other team, like I said, that I think that would be players in this would be the Patriots because they're missing out on that wide receiver talent. Would they be willing to make that jump to come back up or not? Or do they just want to try to gather as many picks as possible to help rebuild this roster?
If the Patriots do it, they're gonna have to give up. What does that look like?
Let's see here.
Patriots.
Patriots here. So they have 11 and 23 still. Pick 34, 68, 103 this year.
Jesus, they have so many picks. But they could do an 11, fucking 103 in a fucking future third. And I feel like that is very close.
That's overpaying from what the Jets would be moving up with for sure. If I'm the Falcons, I'm taking that one instead.
Yeah. Are the Patriots willing to do that?
I don't know because they
I
are in
don't
the
think
situation where
so.
they have so many holes to fill. They aren't going
Well,
to get an
and
Adunze at that
but
point.
they have 2 first round picks this year, 2 first round picks next year.
Mm,
I mean, that's what they have like fucking 14 or 15 picks over the next 2 years. So they have the draft capital to move around and go get guys they really want.
yeah, as of right now, the way that we have it set up, including this year, the Patriots have 7, 8, 9 picks this year, 8 picks next year.
So
So
17
yeah,
picks. All right, so the Patriots are going to be the ones that move up because they can pay a better deal.
okay,
They're going 8 to 11, 103 and a third rounder. That because they're going to want to go up and get a dude that actually makes a difference on that team offensively for once.
okay, yeah, and so I think that the Jets make more sense. But when you look at the trade compensation that the Patriots can offer, it makes more sense that way. So yeah, absolutely. Roma Dunze is the pick here for the Patriots.
Roma Dunze is obviously the pick. If they make that trade up again, they have to go get the weapon.
Alrighty, sounds good. All right,
I
pick
have to
9.
pee while you figure out what the fuck the Bears are going to do since they just took their pick.
Alrighty, absolutely. So Bears on the clock. The PFF needs here. Quarterback is already taken care of. Wide receiver and D line. I have heard from other mock drafts that Bears fans are not happy with taking defensive linemen, specifically defensive interior here at pick number 9. They like who they have there, but honestly, I think if you look at both of the top interior defensive linemen in this spot, in Jerzon Newton and Byron Murphy, both of those guys immediately are upgrades to what they have and start to really fill out that defense. On offense, I mean, sure, you want to add weapons around your new quarterback and Caleb Williams, but I don't think they're taking a Brock Bowers with a Cole Kmet already being there. Um, and then you're talking about a pretty steep drop off, not that steep, I guess, if you just watch our wide receiver episode, but a drop off to take you down to a Brian Thomas Jr. When you already do have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore there. So I think that offensive weapon is kind of off the board. They could try to upgrade their offensive line a little bit, get a new left tackle in there and replace Braxton Jones, which Braxton Jones then immediately becomes a trade candidate as well. But for me, I really think that this is a defensive focused pick if they stick here. Um, the question is who would trade up with the Bears and who's worth trading up for right now. And I don't really know if there is one. I think I've seen in other mocks where the Rams down at 19 have made a trade up in order to get a defensive tackle to replace Aaron Donald, but that is also a little bit of a jump. The problem is if we look here at the Bears, they have picked one that's already done, 9, 75, and then 122. With 4 picks this year, only 3 remaining, they are another candidate to trade out of this spot, and I think that they should be looking for anyone that is willing to move up. And if you're willing to take a drop all the way down to 19, you're probably going to get a decent amount in return from someone like a Rams team who has a assload of picks this year. Now, most of them are kind of later on in the draft, but the Bears are probably going to be looking for extra draft capital. So I was talking about that. I don't think there's an offensive weapon on the board that the Bears would be willing to take here. They're not going to pair Bowers with Komet. They could try to upgrade their offensive line, specifically left tackle there, with Braxton Jones, who is average, but they could upgrade that with an offensive tackle and then try to trade Braxton Jones. But to me, it's defensive player. I like the defensive interior guys here as upgrades for this team. I don't like taking the edge rushers just yet for them, even though they could use one. But if you trade back with as the Bears, you're gonna two birds with one stone. You're going to be more in the range for a good defensive player that you need, but you're also going to get extra capital this year in the draft, which you don't have.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the board. Checking the way the board is falling and who's going to go up.
and
Because you're
that's
trading out of the spot, right?
I
To
want
19?
to. If I'm the Bears, I really want to because if I stick and stay as the Bears, I'm probably taking Jerzon Newton or I'm taking Byron Murphy. Um, but again, I think that I can probably get one of those two or one of the edge rushers that I feel a little bit better about later on in the draft, and I get more draft capital by trading back. And that's why, and I think I did this in my mock one. I
Don't you
had
think that
the
maybe
Rams.
Dallas Turner might be in play here as a guy that can come off the edge in their 3-4 defense?
Yeah, and you and I aren't as big of fans of Dallas Turner,
We're
but I
not,
think
but
that
they
the
might
NFL
be.
could look at him that way. And Ryan Poles wouldn't be necessarily against it either. And that's honestly the guys that I have here would be Jerzon, would be Byron Murphy, or it would be Dallas Turner if we're not able to trade back. But that's the thing is I think if the Bears don't trade back here, they're not going to be able to trade back with their other picks and actually pick up draft capital that's really going to matter. Because again, they have pick 9 here, 75 in the third round, so no second round pick, and then 122. So that's a what, a fourth,
What
fifth
do we
round
think
pick.
about 18 here?
The
The
Bengals.
Bengals coming up for Brock Bowers.
I mean, that makes a
I
lot of
don't
sense
like that
too.
at all.
That does make a lot of sense too. They could absolutely try to jump up for Brock. Who's going to take Brock in between now and then if they don't move up for him? Because Brock Bowers being like a top 5 type of talent.
Colts.
Colts
Colts
could.
need a
They
weapon.
really they could use a defensive back though.
Man, I feel like they want another weapon to pair with their, especially a nice security blanket tight end to go with their brand new rookie.
Could.
Well, I'm not brand new, but second year guy who's just getting his feet wet again.
All right. So let's say the Bengals want to move up. You are a GM for the Bengals right now because they're an even. What sort of
Oh yeah.
compensation do you think that you would be able to send over to my
Fuck.
Bears
Hold
here?
on. Let me look at what I got here. So I'll give you 18 to go up to 9 to get back in the top 10. I'm gonna have to give you 49.
Do you think the Bengals would give up their second round pick? Or do you think they would package like both 80 and 97 together?
I think that they would prefer 89 or 80 and 97, but I think the Bears would be looking for 49. Now the Bengals can do a lot because they have a shitload of picks this year. They have
Mhm. I think
11
they could do
picks
80, 97, and then another late flyer
and
like
probably
214.
fucking 194.
They could do that as well, yeah. And I
I
think
mean, you
that
could do all four of those because that team is pretty good already. They don't need 11 draft picks.
yeah, the Bears are moving down 9 picks. They're still going to get a defensive player that they're going to feel good about, but they just gained another 3 picks in this draft where they didn't really have much otherwise, including 3 picks there right around that third round. So they got 75, 80, and 97. That's going to give them a lot of flexibility for role players on that team because they still have
Yeah,
holes to fill.
a lot of holes still.
I kind of like that.
All right, we can lock that in.
All right, let's do it. And then that means your Bengals are coming up to get Brock Bowers. Yeah.
100%. They're going up to get Brock Powers.
Did that trade
Not
not
my
happen?
Bengals.
Oh no. It didn't update correctly, or I didn't select it correctly. So the Bears are trading are trading with
Wait, hold on.
where are they?
Oh shit! I got to give the Bengals the pick.
Cincinnati Bengals. So yeah. There we go.
That's what I screwed up.
All right, now
All
we're
right,
all
well,
good.
you got it tracked. The Bengals.
Bengals
Can't
move
read
up for
from that
Brock
thing.
Bowers, right?
Yes, I screwed it up.
No, I did on my
as
side
well.
too. The problem
All
is
right,
that
okay, we're good.
I'm drinking water and not taking anything. I should be good
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, hold on. I just forced it. Oh, that's the wrong fucking team.
All right.
Fuck it. Whatever.
Well,
We got it up there.
we got the Bengals
Brock
taking
Bowers
Brock
is getting
Bowers at pick
drafted
number
to
9,
whoever the fuck is there.
moving up for a tight end that they've never had there.
Yeah.
All righty. Next up, you have the New York Jets. You are on the clock as the Evens GM. Where are they going?
So this becomes a little tougher, but it's really not that hard. You would have liked to get your wide receiver. You don't get it. Right here, you're looking at tackle. Like there's some really good tackles still available. I think they found a guy that they like to play left tackle. So let's look at the right tackle spot. Could be the best tackle in this draft. When it all comes out. JC Latham here. I know it's a bit of an overdraft, but to the Jets at right tackle, I feel like this is a great fucking pick and could pay dividends for a very long time.
Yeah, and so the Jets did bring in Morgan Moses to play right tackle this year, and I think that he probably starts there. But J.C. Latham, I personally think that he can play guard as well, and so I think year one you're able to have
Position flexibility. He's playing somewhere on that line.
Tyron Smith at left tackle, AVT at left guard, and then on the right side you have J.C. Latham as your right guard, pencil him in as the future right tackle, and Morgan Moses out there at right tackle. So J.C. Latham is where you want to go here.
Yeah, to me, that's the best scheme fit that also attacks a positional need.
All righty. Okay, next up, the Falcons are back on the clock again, and now they can go after a defensive player that they want to. And to me, they're going to go after an edge. They need pass rush. They have had basically no pass rush the past couple of years. And so they're going to be going after an edge here. They could be looking across the interior of the defensive line as well. But to me, it's going to be edge rusher for him. Latu up here, higher ranked than Dallas Turner now on the PFF boards. And I kind of agree. I like Latu better. But Dallas Turner seems like more of a Raheem Morris fit for what they're going for. I'm going with Dallas Turner here. He's a high upside, but he needs a lot of work. to truly fit that. So Dallas Turner going number 11 to the Falcons.
All right, I agree. I get to pick for a team that I absolutely fucking hate. I went at some Broncos fans on Twitter. There's a lot of vitriol going on between those two fan bases right now because of the trade for Jerry Jeudy, about how bad he sucks. And our Twitter account is currently a Stan account for Jerry Jeudy because fuck the Broncos, fuck everything about Denver except their weed. And Jerry Jeudy deserves. I'm so happy to have him, and with the extension, very good with it because honestly, it's a pretty cheap buy for what we got. Like the money is not bad because his current deal with the 5th-year options is a completely separate deal. The true numbers that came out had us giving way less guaranteed money. Now with the trade, yeah. So I love the deal. Anyways, fuck the Broncos, but they're going to need a lot of help. There's not a receiver you want here that I don't think that you're going to take at 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Biggest need on this team is quarterback. Is Sean Payton crazy as fuck enough to take a Bo Nix right now, who seems
If
like
he
a kind
takes
of
Bo
a fit
Nix,
for him.
he's an idiot.
Look, I think we can both agree Sean Payton is an idiot to some extent.
100%. Sean Payton is 100% an idiot. If the I started Jaron Stidham over Russell Wilson thing was a football decision, then he's a fucking moron.
And like you said, on the offensive side of the ball, wide receiver is definitely another need now that Judy's gone, and you have like Tim Patrick and other than Cortland Sutton there.
Cortland Sutton, I like.
But I'm not taking a Brian Thomas at this point. Like, yeah,
high.
it's a little too rich for me. So on the defensive side of the ball, they traded away all their edge rushers. They very well could move on from their cornerback out there. So the cornerback in the secondary makes sense. It makes sense to get a
I
new
feel like
edge
it
rusher
fits.
So a bunch of options on the defensive side of the ball. Do you think that they would try to trade down as well, and who would want to trade up the spot?
There's a potential here, but when you look at the needs behind them, and quarterback, offensive line, but you're not going to go back one spot. Tackle, the Saints to go up. I don't know. You could still get the same defensive player there, probably. But if they're really talking about trading, Patrick Surtain and moving off of these bigger contracts and these guys and trying to rebuild this thing, it would make sense to bring in a cornerback, a young guy, and probably the best cornerback in this draft. Keon Mitchell, man, like the small school guy out of Toledo. I like that fit there. He excellent grades on PFF. He can play all of the fucking spots. Like he does everything that you want. And if for some reason that you decide to not move off of Pat Surtain, that is a incredibly dynamic fucking cornerback duo that you can do some damage with. You can win games with that defense.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think it's a matter of if they want to keep Pat Surtain or not. It's just they have so many financial woes right now, and he's due a contract here really quick. So it's going to be putting them in a bit of a headlock. So Quinyon Mitchell, are you wanting to take him here with your pick for the Denver Broncos?
I am going to take him here. It's a little high, but he's the best cornerback in this draft, in my opinion. And
I think it's right within his range, and he's my favorite defensive back in the draft, and I'm kind of sad to see him go here. I'm happy for my woman, but sad to see him going to a Sean Payton-led team because, look, I think I even said it in my mock draft, the Broncos traded back in mine, ended up getting Bo Nix a little bit later in the first round, overdraft, and Sean Payton don't give a fuck because he doesn't give a fuck. Honestly, if Sean Payton gets fired next year, it's terrible for the Broncos because they gave up Russ Wilson and the Russ Wilson money and trade value for Russ Wilson and trading for a second round pick for Sean Payton. And Sean Payton just goes, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll go back to broadcasting. And also, I just got paid millions of dollars to go fuck this thing up.
Also, by the way, watch that movie on Netflix about me that makes me look like a good guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So Quinyon Mitchell goes to the Broncos, and now we got the Raiders on the clock. Raiders got Gardner Minshew in there, so they do have a guy that can start, and I feel better about him than calling him a bridge quarterback. But he's obviously not the long-term answer there. You also have Aiden O'Connell, which talking with the Raiders fans around my neck of woods, they are still riding high of what Aiden O'Connell did for him last year, even though it wasn't like the greatest thing, but they have hopes that he can develop and stuff like that. I don't know that Pierce feels the same way about him. Um, him or Gardner. I think that they can feel like they can get by with as good, if not a little bit better quarterback play than they had last year. But there's not a quarterback really worth taking right now unless you are higher on a Michael Penix, which if you read into Michael Penix's pro day stuff, he had himself
Very
a
good.
pretty fucking good day.
Pretty damn good day.
And it's also funny to think back to that semifinal in the college football playoff. And Penix was absolutely being talked about as like a top 15 pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
One game changed his entire draft stock.
yeah. And look, he's got a great arm. He's got good accuracy. The question marks about his knees apparently have checked out as far as the medicals and stuff like that. He went out and ran a 4.5 in his 40s, so his legs
Yeah.
work.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he had a quote something about like, I wasn't mobile because I didn't need to be, but don't doubt that I can't, move around or something like that. Um, this is a sneaky spot where the Raiders could get frisky and take a Penix because they don't have to start him immediately with Gardner there.
It's very true.
They could
I
get
like where
frisky.
I kind of like where you're leading.
Yeah, part of me really wants to do it. And I do kind of feel good about Penix being in that system with Devontae. This is a reach,
That's a big reach if you do it. Are we doing it?
but let me double check here. The Raiders do have 44. That's around where Penix could be taken. I'm fucking taking him.
No, fuck yeah, dude. Let's do it. Penix
We're
is
going
going.
live. Michael Penix to the Raiders, their quarterback of the future. He's staying out on the West Coast and doesn't have to start right away, but probably will be starting sometime this year. Getting the cannon out there. I do like Penix. If for some reason, and I'll say this, if for some reason the Vikings aren't able to make a trade up happen, and now we're sitting with 2 first-round picks, I would be okay with taking Penix at 23. I don't know if you'll get him at 23 because I think his stock is coming back up a little bit, but I would be okay with that. I wouldn't feel as good as I would about moving up in the top 5 for a quarterback, but we can make that work. But all right, so Raiders get Michael Penix, and we have 5 quarterbacks off the board in
Yeah,
less
and
than 15
13.
picks. All right, and you are up with the Saints at pick 14.
If you weren't gonna take him, I was gonna take him right here because
Yeah?
Michael Penix is flying up the board. Yeah, dude.
Oof.
I think that he's for sure locking himself into a first round pick status.
All right.
In this spot though, there's no wide receivers I want. However, there are plenty of tackles that I kind of like in this spot, and Saints need tackle. Pretty goddamn bad.
Yeah.
So this is we're starting to kind of get into an interesting range. There are guys that could play all along the line. You can get a Barton, who I think is a fantastic offensive lineman. I don't know if he plays tackle, but he can play anywhere along the line. If you want a dude who I think is a for sure just like gonna be a tackle though, Fuaga. I'm gonna go Fuaga here.
This makes a lot of sense to me. So Talise Fuanga is my favorite right tackle in the draft.
Yeah,
Right now, the Saints,
not
they
mine, but
they have Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle, but there's so much question about that
Ramchek
leg,
has
whether or not
the
he's gonna.
whole. Yeah,
He's playing bone on bone right now. There was talks about he might be forced into retirement this year, but he said he's coming back. But I still don't feel good about that, especially not long term future. And so, like, I'm definitely looking at tackle for this pick, and my favorite guy there. Like, I talked him up a lot in our offensive line stuff last week. To me, he's my RT1, and I think that he pairs really well as far as tackles overall with the Joe Alt. I think he's going to surprise people. Fuanga is really good prospect and will be good for the Saints there. Again, not a franchise that I enjoy, so I don't like seeing players I like go to these places. But you're going with Fuanga
right.
here,
Yeah, I'm going Fuaga here.
all right? And then that takes us up to the Colts, pick 15. All right, do they need a wide receiver? Yes. Could they pair a Brian Thomas up at this point with Michael Pittman? Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
I'm not going to
Is
do it.
that a nice fit though? Do you like that scheme fit wise? Because I don't know if I do.
Uh, Maybe. I guess because we didn't really get to
Yeah.
see Anthony Richardson as a
Well,
passer. So,
no, we didn't get to see him as a passer, but
but he
like
does have a
who
cannon.
who plays the X the majority of this of the time? You're putting Michael Pittman out there, and you're putting
Josh Downs is your other
Josh
guy.
Downs as your slot, and then you're gonna have what the Z be Michael Thomas off the ball. I
Not
mean, this is
Michael
a guy that
Thomas,
has
or
excellent
Brian
uh,
Thomas. They
Brian
could go
Thomas,
out and
not
get
Michael.
Michael Thomas. He's still a free agent, I believe.
That is true. That is very true. Brian Thomas is a guy that is excellent off like getting releases off the ball. Man, this is tough because that creates an interesting dynamic on who the one could be. Because Michael Pittman has done great things, but Michael Pittman has not taken that. Michael Pittman is targeted like a one, but I don't have him as a one.
Yeah. He's really solid number 2, I think, by most
Like
accounts,
he,
like a high end
yeah,
2.
he's a high end too. He's in that same vein as a T Higgins type guy.
Yeah.
He
Well, so right
maybe
now,
you go.
and the way I'm leaning, the way I was kind of leaning with the Colts when I did my mock draft one is defensive back and cornerback in particular. Right now, they've got Juju Brents, who did really well last year, but they also have Dallas Flowers, who isn't anything special as another outside corner, and Kenny Moore the second as kind of their nickel back. They
Yeah.
need help along that defensive backfield, so I'm going to be going with my second rated cornerback in this spot. I got Terrion Arnold there. I do like Cooper DeJean a lot, but I don't like him just yet. I'm going Terrion Arnold. I think that uh Terrion Arnold was cornerback one for me until Quinion Mitchell really showed out from Senior Bowl on. So
Yeah.
Terrion Arnold going to the Colts in this pick.
All right. Oh man, and this is I don't like this pick. I don't want to take this pick because they could go so many spots. And I know where I want to go, but it's way too high to take it.
Yeah, it was the same thing when I did my mock too, because I think we're thinking of the same person.
Yeah, I want to take JPJ. I want
Yeah,
to take JPJ really bad because it makes so much sense. They need so much offensive line help, and this is the best offensive lineman on the board at this point.
yeah.
They
Look,
need interior help.
I've been
If
trying to find ways to get the Rams to trade up, but they're not going to do an interdivision trade like that, I don't think. Because
yeah,
I want the Rams to be able to go out and get another defensive lineman, one of those D tackles. And I think that with the Bears sitting here at 18, they could either go D tackle or edge rusher. So the Rams might want to try to jump up, but I don't think they're going to get a chance to because I don't think Seattle's going to trade that pick to them.
no.
But if Seattle trades further back than pick 20, I think that the Steelers could absolutely look at a JPJ as well. So if that's like kind of their target, and then you go to Miami, JPJ works really well there as well.
Yeah.
So you're going all the way back if you're doing like trades back with like the Eagles and you're losing
And
your
so you
guy at that.
can't, if you want that guy, if you want to attach your biggest need, which is interior offensive line, you can't fucking move back because he'll be gone by then.
Yeah.
I think.
Like you'll lose JPJ, and then depending on how you feel about Graham Barton, he's the next guy that has that interior flexibility. That would make sense. But as far as interior needs, you do have Jacksonville coming up, though I think Jacksonville is going to look more on the defensive side. The Bears aren't going to go after him. The Rams aren't going to, but I think the Steelers and Miami both are going to consider interior offensive linemen there. And JPJ would be easy, and you might be able to get away with a Graham
And
Barton if
there's
you
not
go
a
further
guy
back.
that I love here that is like, I need to trade up to go get this guy right now.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are going to overdraft here. We're going to see a fucking center go in the first round. JPJ is going here.
Look, and I love JPJ. I think you love him too. He's a
I
fucking
fucking do.
dude.
Yeah,
He's,
I
he's a
do.
fucking dude. He's great.
It's an overdraft, but I'm fucking taking JPJ there.
All right, JPJ to the Falcons at pick 16. All right, if they don't go interior there, what do you think that they could take otherwise?
If they don't go to interior offensive line, they're probably going edge. Leatu Latu. It makes sense. Pacific. I mean, I'm gonna stereotype a whole bunch of shit right here, but the Pacific Islander out to Seattle makes 100% sense to me.
It does. Now, I know some people have talked about potentially doing like an edge rusher here, but they have Boye Mafe who started to pick up by the end of last year. Um, they've got Draymond Jones who kind of pushes out a little bit. He's a little bit more of a three
I mean, but
or
like
defensive end.
if you want to
Um,
go best player available, Byron Murphy maybe at that spot, maybe best player available.
Well, so they've got Jerron Reed at
Wide
nose tackle,
receiver.
Jonathan Hankins, and
Just
Leonard Williams along the defensive line already, and Draymond Jones. I don't know that
they may
would
won't
do
look
that.
to trade down. If they stick at that pick, I feel like JPJ makes the most sense there.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it feels a little bit rich because it's a center, but when you're talking about head and shoulders the best center prospect and best interior offensive line prospect in this draft, I feel good about taking him there.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, once you make the pick, it doesn't matter where you took them, just how they perform. And I think they're going to get a
correct.
performer. All right.
Agreed.
Pick 17, Jags on the clock. I want to take a defensive back for him here because I do need help in that defensive backfield. But they could kind of look towards edge rusher as well to pair up with Josh Allen.
Mm,
I don't hate Eliatu Latu there because they had been in on the Daniil Hunter talks and stuff like that to pair up with Josh Allen as well.
I can see that.
I just don't like their defensive backs pretty much at all. And so I feel like if they're going for a little bit need BPA, they could get a DeJean, or if you're feeling anything about Wiggins. I'm not as big of a Wiggins fan, but
I
they
like
could look
Wiggins.
at cornerback. I think Wiggins just provides you nothing in the run game. And
Okay, so agreed. Like,
that
he's not
bothers me a
gonna.
little bit as a first round pick.
I feel like Jared Verse here makes a lot of fucking sense.
That's true.
Just because hometown, like he stays home. A need, it's a fit. Now in they're running a 3-4 out in Jacksonville, right? So you're looking at Verse as like a 5 technique,
Mhm.
as in a 3-4, because he can't play outside linebacker. I don't think Jared Verse is that type of dude.
I mean, I like him better as a 4-3 end, hand in the dirt type of guy, but he has stood up some.
I think he could get a couple of pounds and be a really nice like 5 technique in a 3-4.
6'4", 260.
Like you get him to 6'4", 280.
I'm going to stick with, I think Verse is a good fit, but I like Liatu Latu better
Okay.
as an edge rusher in general. And I think that he can still work with that scheme pretty well. I'm going to take Latu here. Again, I love Latu. And
Well,
I
and,
think
and
that,
he's a 3-4 guy. He's gonna be able to
yeah,
line up opposite and
yeah. And him going opposite Josh Allen will be a really nice pairing for him there. They're still going to have to do a lot of work at defensive back in the future, but yeah, they're just going to go all in on that edge rush there. All right. You got the Bears up, pick 18, one of our trade downs with Cincinnati.
Yeah. Bears need a lot of help. One thing that the Bears have always been kind of good at is stopping the run. Until as of recently, I feel like they got fucking ran all over. They probably try to address a need here. 18, you trade down. You're not looking at the top premier talent anymore. You're not probably thinking BPA. You're probably thinking who's a guy that helps us right now. Position need. We need a fit. Byron Murphy here as a slot. I feel like fits really nicely after a trade down for the Bears. So going Byron Murphy at 18.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. This was the type of guy that they would have considered taking even at 9 as a defender. A Byron Murphy or a Jerzon Newton, which I'm a Johnny Newton fan as well. I think Johnny Newton is a better penetrator. I think he was the best defensive player on that Illinois team as well. And you could kind of keep, if you were looking for Jerzon Newton to the Bears instead, Illinois guy staying in Illinois. But right now, the Bears on the interior, they got Jervon Dexter, who, did well last year, but I still think that he can be replaced. You got Andrew Billings, who is absolutely can be replaced at the nose tackle. And so interior defensive line makes a lot of sense to me with the Bears there. And you asked me one day or the next day, I'm between Byron Murphy and Jerzon Newton of who I like better in as a defensive tackle. But you're going Byron Murphy here?
Yeah, I'm going Byron
Yeah.
Murphy here.
I still am a fan of that because I would have considered taking Byron Murphy, and I was leaning Byron Murphy as well if I was going to stick and pick at 9. So that's a win in my book for the Bears to
Yeah, and
knock
you
down,
trade
get
down
extra
here to
draft capital,
18.
and
Yeah.
still get that guy. That's a good fit. All right, pick 19 with the Rams, and I'm going to go after. I've been trying to get them to move over for defensive tackle. I'm going to go Jerzon Newton, 2 defensive interiors, right one after another. I do really like Johnny Newton. He's not going to replace Aaron Donald, but he's going to be a very good pass rusher, and a good additional on that defensive line where you're going to have a big hole from Donald being gone.
Okay. All right.
All right, 20 Steelers, one of the teams that you love.
Yeah, fuck this team. They're taking a kicker.
All right, look at the kickers real.
Where's the kickers at? Where are the special teamers?
Harrison Mevis or Mevis
Yeah,
from
sounds good.
Missouri.
Hold on. What's a shittier name?
Joshua Carty with a K. Now, the one guy that I won't let you pick here is Torrey Taylor, punter out of Iowa. This guy is like Matt Ariza level of punter. Like, I think he's fucking awesome. Like,
Oh,
he's
okay.
absolutely worth a 7th round pick. I would take Torrey Taylor with the new kickoff rules and then take a guy as a kicker who doesn't have to do anything other than kick my extra points or my field goals. I love Torrey Taylor. He's fucking awesome.
All right.
Don't touch Torrey Taylor.
So I'm gonna do what I think that they should do.
Okay.
Offensive line has been really fucking bad for a while, like atrociously bad for the Steelers, which I've loved because Myles Garrett has eaten like a fucking madman. So I think they gotta go to tackle. Center's off the board. They needed a center, but you don't take one here. I think, in my opinion, one of my favorite tackles in this draft is Olufashanu, and I stays at home, stays in Pennsylvania. I think it's a nice fit, and that's where I'm going. I'm going Olufashanu.
Yeah, and right now at tackle, they have Dan Moore Jr. out on the left side. Nothing special there. And then Broderick Jones out at right tackle. You know, he's still a younger guy that's developing some.
Well,
That-
and he's not very good. And I said
yeah.
that last year that Broderick should not have been drafted in the first round, but I'm really glad the Steelers took him.
And the interior of that offensive line as well is nothing to write home about. You've got Isaac Suomalo as the left guard, Nate Herbig as your center, and James Daniels from former Chicago guard, who I do like James Daniels, but he's never lived up to his hype there at right guard. But either way, going to left tackle, I think Olufashanu is an absolute upgrade right there. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get stronger. I think that, there's a lot of talk about Olu being, a top 10, top 15 pick. And in my eyes, he's not strong enough for that yet to be picked that high. So this is a better range for him here.
And if he comes to the AFC North, he's in for a fucking rude awakening. Yeah. Well, he's going to run into some power smash mouth football. It's going to be tough. I think that he has the ability. He has got the build. He can get stronger. He can actually even put on a little bit of weight and still be as athletic as he is now.
He should be able to, but that's the thing is, I brought up, is he's been in that Penn State weight room for like 3 years and hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, has not done it yet.
We got to get him on some fucking legal HGH or something like that.
Turt. You got to get that turt.
Yeah. So Olufashanu going 20 to the Steelers for you.
Yep.
All righty. Next up, the Dolphins. The biggest needs for them, in my mind, is got to be along that interior offensive line. They lose Marcus Hunt. They have Connor Williams, who tore, I believe, his ACL, MCL towards the end of last year and is a free agent, hasn't resigned, and he wouldn't be ready to go right away either way. So you need a guy that can go in there and play in the interior. And the next best
probably anywhere on the interior.
Yeah. The next guy here that is best for that is a Graham Barton. He's listed as a tackle on PFF, but he played the Senior Bowl at center and practiced in the Senior Bowl a lot as guard. He's projected better there at that interior. If you have to play him at tackle, you're not going to feel terrible about it. So that flexibility is nice, but he is definitely an interior guy at this next level. And so Graham Barton, I think, is going to be my pick here. It just seems like too easy of a fit in that spot. You could look at a Troy Fatanu as well, who I think is still going to be a good left tackle in this league. Maybe could play some right tackle, but also was viewed as a interior left guard type of guy because they didn't think his arms would be big enough, and they turn out to be perfectly fine for left tackle in the NFL. So you could see him going there. I kind of have him higher rated than Graham Barton overall just as a player, but Graham Barton makes more sense for the need that they have right now in Miami.
All right.
All right, you're up with the Eagles at pick 22.
God, so I didn't think that this guy would still be on the board. Wide receiver, we're not looking at wide receiver here. Like, I don't know why this even says that wide receivers a fucking need. They got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Like, I don't That's not a need. Linebacker. We're not drafting a linebacker, and especially in this fucking draft, anywhere in the first round. So we're looking at fucking defensive back. Now, I thought this guy might go to the Steelers. I considered taking him with the Steelers. But the way the board fell, man, like they needed help on the offensive line. Cooper DeJean, though, going to Philly, I feel like is a nice little fit. And even if he doesn't turn out to be the top flight cornerback, this is a guy that you can easily convert to safety. Will be one of the most athletic safeties, good man coverage safety. You can play him in big nickel and is an instant upgrade in damn near every aspect of your special teams. And with the new emphasis on special teams, this is a really nice piece. Philly is going to try to do the similar things that they're seeing Kansas City do because Philly is in the mindset that they can win a Super Bowl right fucking now. So Cooper DeJean, I feel like is a really nice fit, and that's where I'm going.
Alrighty, Cooper DeJean. I like Cooper DeJean a lot. He's nursing a little bit of an injury, which hasn't allowed him to show up in the practices and everything, Senior Bowl and combine and things like that. But he's that super scheme versatile, position versatile defensive back. I think if you play safety, he's the next Harrison Smith. If he plays outside, he's the first white cornerback that we've had in a long time that's worth a shit.
Jason Seymour, yeah.
Yeah, he plays outside really well. He can play in the slot or the nickel really well. And right now, the Eagles, they've got Darius Slay and James Bradbury as their two top.
And Darius Slay has not been on a high ride.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, great. Last year,
Yeah.
not great. Like he's so
Slay fell
inconsistent.
off. The age is really showing with Darius Slay. Bradbury seems like he forgot how to play football a little bit. I think that he could maybe recover. He just had a bad year, but still, like he needs some work. Either way, both of those guys you could be looking at moving off of after this year. And if you bring in a guy like Cooper DeJean, he starts performing really well, you could trade Slay, I think, to someone this year, just off name recognition. They also have like a Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks both sitting behind them that need to develop a little bit more. So adding a Cooper DeJean as a young guy there is going to help. And then worst case, you end up having to push DeJean off into a safety spot to kind of help with Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship out there. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in that Fangio style defense. But I think if the Fangio style defense, that attacking 3-4 hybrid, if they start to fix or lean a little bit more towards what Flores did, where they have like 3 safeties on the field, then having a guy like Cooper DeJean makes a ton of sense. Okay. All right. Patriots back with another first round pick here, pick 23. All right. Earlier.
Is this where it's going to happen finally? Is a guy that climbing up the board finally going to come off as another wide receiver?
No, because I got Rome Odunze earlier.
Oh, you took Rome? Oh, you did take Rome. Yeah.
I got Rome Odunze earlier. So Brian Thomas.
I took Rome. No.
Could go.
I did take Rome.
Yeah. But they got Rome earlier. They could pair Brian Thomas out there. But again, there's so many fucking needs on this team. Yeah. Including a quarterback, but I'm not taking a Bo Nix here. It's still too rich for my blood. They do need offensive line help. Troy Fautanu, I'm a big fan of. I'm going with Troy Fautanu. You need to protect whoever is going to be throwing the ball to Rome Odunze. So Fautanu here feels like a great selection for them because he's got that versatility as a tackle or a guard, and it'll help build that foundation up for him. All right. You got your Dallas Cowboys.
That's a nice fucking fit though. Fautanu, like they need so much help. I'm not a huge Fautanu guy, but like the value position wise, like I don't know if you could do better right there.
Yeah, look,
I hate my fucking next pick.
It's going to be person to person, but like I got Fautanu over top of Olu Fashanu, who just went to the Steelers just because of the strength thing. I think that Fautanu was talked down a little bit because of that arm size, and then people forgot that he was a fucking fantastic left tackle. Fashanu has the higher ceiling if he's able to make good with that strength, though. So I feel really good about the Patriots being able to get a Fautanu right here because I'm higher on him as far as the tackle class. But that leaves you at pick 24 with the Dallas Cowboys.
Fuck this pick, dude. This is a trade down pick for sure. It was what it feels like to me because there's a shitload of needs. Like they need a running back. There's no way you're taking one. The receivers,
You don't want Brian Thomas out there?
Do you think that they pair a Brian Thomas with him? I don't know. With a CD Lamb, they do similar things.
They
Maybe.
could. If you view him as more of just that straight line guy, they could. But that's you gotta get in the mind of Jerry a little bit here. He does like his splash guys, his lights, camera action type of dude, and Brian Thomas could bring a little bit of that. But they do have a
So
bunch
would
of
a
other needs. I
so
mean,
would a
they
so would a Donnie Mitchell, but
yeah, they've got, offensive line issues that they need to work through, some defensive line issues they need to work through. That offensive line is not what it was in the past, like 3, 4 years ago. It's really dropped off and degraded. Um,
oh god, man, I feel like they should trade down and get, but there's nobody wants to trade for this pick.
right.
I'm pretty sure it
So
says zero trades.
left tackle for them is Tyler Smith. He is a decent guard as well, and did all right filling in there for Tyron Smith last year. But your left guard is TJ Bass. Brock Hoffman is your starting center. Who Zach Martin's still at right guard,
Oh,
but he's old as shit. And then Terrence Steele is a solid right tackle.
but
But
you're way overdrafting if you look at a Zach Frazier or a Christian Haynes
mhm,
anywhere in the interior.
if you go after a tackle, I think that you end up having to go after like an Amarius Mims, who is very
I
athletic.
don't like
He
Amarius
could be a
Mims at
left
all.
tackle of the future potentially. Um, but you're moving Smith back inside.
Tyler Guyton can play on the right
And so
side.
so Tyler Guyton is the guy that I ended up taking in my mock draft. He's
I
definitely more
feel like that
developmental, but
fits the right way.
he's a super high ceiling with good coaching.
I mean, the Cowboys know how to get their offensive line trained up. Though at least they have shown that in the past. This is another, I feel like a little bit of an overdraft, but there's nobody else there position wise. Nobody's trying to trade up to this spot. So I'm going Tyler Guyton.
All right, Tyler Guyton. I'm fine with it. I took him in my mock draft as well, the Evo 1.0, because I'm a big Guyton fan. I think that he's the character type of guy and the drive type of guy that he'll be able to maximize his athletic talents and learn and become a good player. All
How
right,
the fuck
pick
did you get
25 for me.
how did you get the Packers when I got the Steelers?
We are picking for guys that we don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting
All
a
right.
kicker? You're a punter?
Yeah, I would not Tory Taylor. They ain't touching my
Yeah.
fucking Tory Taylor, I hope. Um, all right, so Packers on the board. Uh, they moved off of Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
That being said, they have a lot of like position versatile guys in their offensive line and have made good use of that. Um, but I'm not feeling fantastic about Rasheed Walker starting at left tackle out there. They have Elgin Jenkins who can also play some tackle, but he's probably going to be your guard. Um, and Zach Tom also starting out at right tackle. So I'm going to be going for a Bakhtiari replacement here. I'm going to be going for an offensive tackle. It just is who is it going to be? So Amarius Mims is probably the guy that makes the most sense there. I'm not a huge
That
fan.
is
I had
not a Bakhtiari fucking replacement.
no, and I had Olu Fashanu falling to him in my mock draft and gave him to him there. Um, Jordan Morgan, I feel like he's a
I'm an
little
Olu
bit more of a
Fashanu
right tackle,
guy,
but
so I
yeah,
I drafted him a little high.
I feel like I like him better as a right tackle in the NFL, but left tackle is a possibility for him, and he feels a little bit more like a Packer player. I know that Packers fans also are kind of like, I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't have my pulse on the Packer fan
Yeah.
as well as I should, but defensive back makes a little bit of sense for me as well. Safety, and then who knows what's going to happen with the cornerbacks out there getting a little bit up in age, being expensive and everything. Um, Packers always seem to take guys that don't make sense in the first rounds as well. So if
Well, it
I'm trying to
won't
get in the
be any
as
kind
a
of
GM,
weapon. I can tell you that.
yeah, they wouldn't want to give Jordan Love any weapons. I'm going to go with Jordan Morgan. I like the fit there as a left tackle guy, and also I think that he's got guard versatility. So if they need to move him around, they'll do that. That's an overdraft in my opinion as well because I'm not a huge Jordan Morgan fan, but I think that it fills a need for them along that offensive line, and has scheme or not scheme but position versatility, which they like with their offensive linemen.
All right. All right. Oh, and I am on the clock with the Buccaneers. Interior offensive line. They need some help. but they also need some help at edge. This guy has fallen into their lap. This is another one that makes 100% sense. Jared Verse goes to the Bucks, stays in fucking Florida.
Makes a ton of sense.
Makes a ton of sense.
And I think that you can flip
I'm
flop
not
these
a
picks.
Verse guy. I'm not a Verse guy, but
Uh-huh.
this is easy.
Yeah, I think you could flip flop the pick that I made with the Jaguars. Latu went to the Jags. I think if Verse goes to the Jags, Latu
Then
could
it
fall right here as
goes
well.
the other way.
Yeah, works out well. All right, Jared Verse there to the Buccaneers. Pick 27, Cardinals with their second pick here in the first round. Earlier, they took
Marvin Harrison.
so got themselves a nice little weapon there. If they wanted to, they could be real ballsy and go out there and take a Brian Thomas Jr. So they got 3 top tier options for Kyler to throw to. And again, I've seen some of those podcasts for Cardinals fans, and they've actually been talking about like maybe we should go wide receiver, get ourselves 2 of the top guys here to just load up with talent out there at wide receiver. Got a good tight end, got Michael Wilson showing up good last year, and now we got 2 of the top wide receivers in the draft out here.
Who's playing defense on that fucking team?
Fucking a lot of random dudes.
A lot of Jags. A lot of goddamn Jags.
Yeah, a lot of random dudes. And I'm actually going to take the same pick that I took here in my mock draft because I kind of like it for that same reason. We're going on the edge, but we're taking Darius Robinson, a guy who can play all along that defensive front because they don't really have anyone that you feel super great about. They've got some edge rush guys already, but Darius Robinson at his size is a completely different character. 6'5", 296, not the greatest athlete, not the greatest tester, but again, very similar size to a guy that they had out there before in J.J. Watt. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's got versatility along that defensive line. He's a guy that I'm a huge fan of, Darius Robinson. And so sad to see him go to the Cardinals, even though, whatever, Cardinals are an up-and-coming team, and I just don't like having a hometown team here that I root against have a good player, a guy that I really like. So Darius Robinson is probably an overdraft again. He got a lot of hype in the Senior Bowl and stuff like that, and he's kind of mellowed out again since. But Darius Robinson, to me, he's better than the other defensive tackles that are on the board right now, or at least in parallel with like a Chris Jenkins or something like that. But he's got so much versatility along that defensive line that Jonathan Gannon can find a way to use him.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. So next pick for me, it's going to be Bills on the clock, and this one's super fucking simple in my opinion.
I already went to it.
Brian Thomas Jr., just fucking take him. Yeah, like that's.
Look, if Brian Thomas falls this far, I'll kind of be surprised. I think someone's going to take a flyer on him there in the mid to late teens. But if not, the same thing I said in my write-up for him. He does what Gabe Davis was supposed to do, but better.
Yep.
And has higher potential to just be a better wide receiver overall in general. That's a great fit for the Bills there.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're picking for all your division opponents.
Apparently. So Detroit Lions are up here. Last time I had them taking a defensive end. I don't know that I'm going that route. If I did, it would be Chop Robinson because just like you, I'm a Chop Robinson fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Chop is a stud.
I would hate to see Chop Robinson opposite of Aiden O'Connell, but I don't know if Chop's necessarily a scheme fit with what they do.
Aiden O'Connell.
Oh, Aiden Hutchinson. Excuse me.
It's like, yeah, I'd hate to see him opposite of Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, well, Aiden O'Connell will die if Chop's on the other side of him. But either way, I don't know that Chop is necessarily a scheme fit for what they have going there. They don't really have the stand-up edge rushers. They have more of that 4-3 scheme, down hand of the dirt type of guys. But one of the issues that they've had pretty consistently is defensive back help. And so you got 2 guys here in Kool-Aid McKinstry and Nate Wiggins that are both good for that. Now, I brought up my concerns with Wiggins. He's not good in run defense, but they're not as concerned with the run defense right now. They need defensive backs that can guard against the fucking pass, and Nate Wiggins is really good for that. Kool-Aid McKinstry, on the other hand, looks like he could be one of the top cornerbacks in the draft, but he likes to take a lot of plays off, and I don't think that is going to play with Dan Morgan as the head coach.
Campbell.
God damn, it is getting late, I guess. I was saying, I was like, Dan Morgan, that's not right, but yeah, it's Dan, Motor City Dan Campbell. But either way, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I don't know if he's actually legit taking plays off, but he seems to just be lost or not participating for a while. So for me, it's going to be Nate Wiggins here. They need defensive backs that can defend against the pass. It's one of their weakest points.
All right. Oh, look at that. I get the pick for the fucking Ravens.
It's a good exercise for us, man, to stay
Who's the
true.
shittiest wide receiver left on the Xavier Worthy?
Keon
Xavier
Coleman,
Worthy.
which I've seen Keon Coleman mock to them before, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That would be. I'm okay with that as well. Xavier Worthy or Keon Coleman to the Ravens sounds fantastic.
Yep. They're able to keep Matabwike on that interior, so that's good for them there. They always seem to be pulling in new edge rushers as well. A Chop Robinson to them makes sense, and that would be fucking scary. And I know you wouldn't want to see that.
But they need another guy that can catch fucking passes. The OBJ's gone, didn't work out. They need another weapon. Now, who do we feel like fits here? That's tough. Adonai Mitchell, I think, does fit.
I think that he has a potential to reach like a George Pickens level, Adonai Mitchell, if he ends up hitting on everything. I can tell you
I'm more of a fan of Troy Franklin, if I'm going to be honest, but that's a little high for me.
All right. Well, this also might be a little high for you, but do you remember who I picked in my 1.0 mock for the Ravens?
No.
Xavier Legette.
Oh man.
I feel like he fits in with that style that they have.
But goddamn, would he fit there? Yeah.
Yeah.
That Debo-esque fucking. That's so high for me, though.
And that's, to me, I think Xavier Legette has that fringe first round potential. So we are at the end of that first round. If a team falls in love with him, like I love him, I could see him going up there, but I don't want to influence your pick too much. Troy Franklin makes a little bit of sense too, but he's a completely different type of receiver than like a Legette. And
the Ravens are smart. They draft smart always. They are not going to reach on a wide receiver at this point. I believe they're going to take the best defensive player on the board. And in their mind, probably, that's Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Okay.
I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to go right here. I don't love Kool-Aid, but I feel like in that Harbaugh system, playing with all those other defensive backs, you get in that culture. You can, if you get Kool-Aid to play every down at 100%, he could be the best defensive player in this draft.
Sure.
So
all right.
I'm going Kool-Aid here.
Kool-Aid to the Ravens. All right. Next up, Joe Rockstar's pick, San Francisco 49ers. And on our show that we did, he popped in. He said, what? He wants some O-line help.
Line help and a defensive
back help. Well, defensive backs just kind of fell off the board unless you really feel good about Tyler Newman.
Yeah, sorry, I just took Kool-Aid.
He's been overdrafted. I like TJ Tampa too, but it's a little bit rich for me to take him at this point. Offensive line. Again, not a great selection available. I mean, there's guys that I definitely like, but I don't know if I'm wanting to take them at this point.
I mean, Amarius Mims, you're a fan, right? Like, can he play on the right side?
I'm not a huge fan, and I do think that he can play on the right side. Like, I think that he's got some athletic talents that could be realized, but my fear is he's going to become more of an Evan Neal than a Tyron Smith. This would be a really good trade out spot for the 49ers because they are one of those teams that is already kind of loaded, so they could sit back, acquire picks. If you move back into the early second round, then you're looking at any of those interior guys being available, Haynes or Frazier, and feeling pretty good about bringing those guys in, particularly Haynes. Who would really be wanting to trade up at this point, though, to take who's left on the board? Because, again, I don't think someone's probably not trading up for Amarius Mims, Adonai Mitchell, or one of these other wide receivers.
Somebody who didn't get a quarterback who really wants to come up and get a fifth-year option?
Broncos? Are the Broncos going to come up
move
for
up to get a Bo Nix?
They don't have a quarterback. I mean, they have quarterbacks on the roster, but they don't have anyone to play. And to me, you're talking about.
God, they got to move up from 76, though, which means they're giving up a future 2. Maybe in a future 1 to get back in the first.
Well, could I guess this is a little bit ballsy here, but would they trade? Look, Joe Rockstar said he wants defensive back help.
Would they make the trade for
Do you
Pat
think that
Surtain?
they would do a 1-for-1? A Pat Surtain for pick 31?
I think Pat Surtain's worth the first.
I think he's worth a first as well.
That's a
And who did they take? They took a cornerback. They took Quinion Mitchell.
in this draft. Well,
I think the 49ers walk away. Now the 49ers got to think about paying him. But he's
I
an
don't think the
immediate
49ers
upgrade.
give a damn about paying him.
Yeah.
John Lynch is going to pay Pat Surtain.
How big of a get would that be for him?
Dude, I mean, the board's falling that way, right?
You tell me if you think that that's too much. If
I
you
think
think
it's
that's out of the
possible.
realm of possibility that a Pat Surtain,
Dude, with the things that organization has done over the last 6 fucking months, I don't think anything's outside the realm of possibility.
so pick 31 direct for Pat Surtain. I'm willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah, fucking do it. Like,
Fuck it. Sean Payton, don't
let's
give
get
a
wild,
fuck.
baby.
Sean Payton, don't give a fuck. That's probably our surprise of the draft right there.
Let's fucking get wild.
And then he's moving up to get his quarterback of the future, Bo Nix. Drew Brees light up here.
Yeah.
All right.
That feels right. That feels right, right? Like,
that's kind of a wild one, but I mean, they do a 1-for-1 replacement, Pat Surtain with Quinion Mitchell. They don't have to pay Quinion Mitchell like they're going to have to pay Pat Surtain, and they get their quarterback. And they're not having to give up extra draft capital to do it because they don't have a ton here until late day 2. All right. I kind of can feel it. Kind of feel it in my plums. All right. You're up with our last pick here. Kansas City
Joe
Chiefs.
might be excited about that.
Yeah, he might be down with it.
Yeah. So the Chiefs are taking a wide receiver. Best wide receiver on the board, according to PFF, is Adonai Mitchell at this point. I like Troy Franklin better. I know you like Roman Wilson probably better than both of those guys.
I do personally, but again, like I even put that in my write-up with my 1.0 that it's really just a pick of the litter for the Chiefs here. They could feel, any one of these guys could fit. It's whoever they're going to feel best about in their system. And so there's like 5 guys that I would feel comfortable with here. The only guy I'm going to knock you for taking is Keon Coleman.
So the only guy I was just about to say, fuck the Chiefs. They've won too much. They take Keon Coleman.
Unless they want to take a Xavier Worthy to replace the Tyreek Hill speed.
Yeah, so that they're probably looking for a speed element, which kind of puts me on the Adonai Mitchell track. So I'm going Adonai Mitchell. That's how we're ending that first round.
All right, Adonai Mitchell to the Chiefs, and that rounds out our first round here. Quick download this little image here so we can put it up on the socials. All right, recapping. Caleb Williams goes 1 to the Bears. Jaden Daniels 2 to Washington. Minnesota moves up to 3 and gets J.J. McCarthy instead of a Drake May here, who starts to fall. Marvin Harrison 4 to the Cardinals. Chargers at 5 get Malik Neighbors 1B at the receiver spot there. Drake May falls in the laps of the Giants. They get a new quarterback and a new leash on the head coach and GM. Joe Alt, easiest pick outside of Caleb Williams, goes left tackle to the Titans. You have the Patriots moving back up to get a wide receiver in Roma Dunze. Bengals move up and get Brock Bowers with a big jump. Jets at 10, J.C. Latham stacking that O-line for him. Dallas Turner 11 to the Falcons. Quinion Mitchell, cornerback at the Broncos, a replacement for Pat Surtain.
Yeah.
Michael Penix, a jump, gets up to 13 with the Raiders. Talise Fuanga is a Ramczyk replacement for the Saints. Terrion Arnold, defensive back to the Colts. JPJ, a little overdraft, but not going to matter because he's a fucking dude there to the Seahawks. Latu goes for pairing up with Josh Allen with the Jaguars. Byron Murphy to the Bears, rounding out that interior defensive line. Jerzon Newton is the replacement there for Aaron Donald in LA. Olufashanu new left tackle for the Steelers. Let's hope we can get stronger. Graham Barton is an interior stud for the Dolphins. Eagles take Cooper DeJean to be a multiple position player for the Vic Fangio defense. Troy Fatanu, a starting left tackle or at worst case left guard there for the Patriots, building from the ground up. Tyler Guyton, developmental tackle for the Cowboys. Jordan Morgan, new left tackle out there for the Green Bay Packers. Jared Verse, edge rush help for the Buccaneers. Cardinals get Darius Robinson, a versatile defensive lineman. Brian Thomas Jr. is that Gabe Davis replacement, but better, and falls somehow to the Bills at 28. Nate Wiggins, defensive back help for the Lions. Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Ravens. Bo Nix, after a trade, goes to
Great
the
trade.
Denver Broncos, where they get rid of Pat Surtain off to the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers feel great about that because he's better than any other defensive back available, potentially better than Kool-Aid or Nate Wiggins at this point. And they're getting him for a later first. And Adonai Mitchell, pick 32, new receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. I like this draft, man.
I like this. This was fun. This was a good one. I can't wait till we do another one and see how it shakes out, because as new things start to happen and teams, rumors, lies, all of these things start to happen, there's only about 6 guys that I feel confident are going exactly where we say they're going.
Yeah.
This draft is so stacked at the top that there's so many moves that could happen. Teams there's going to be a lot of fucking trades this year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of movement. I like it, man. That's a fun draft. There's definitely a bunch of stuff there that I wasn't expecting to take Penix that high. I definitely wasn't expecting to see a player for pick swap there at the end. That one's the shakeup. That's the highlight of the draft, I think.
The Bo Nix, baby.
Champagne, don't give a fuck. All right, brother. You got anything else to say before we kick out of here?
Not for me, man. I'm getting ready to go upstairs and catch some sleep, spend some quality time with the lady.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you if you stuck around for the entirety of the draft. Obviously, we are fans of the Browns and the Vikings and things like that, and we kind of know things about within our division, but we're not going to be up to snuff on everything with every team out there and every team's needs. And of course, if you're a fan of one of these teams that we are covering here, you might have differing opinions or a different guy that you're hoping falls to you, a different trade that you would like to see happen. Comment on the video, like the video, support us a little bit. Tell us what you want to see so that way here in our future mock drafts, we can try to work that in or see if that's something that we would agree with as well. Let us know where we fucked up, because I'm sure you think we fucked up. Let us know where we did good and what you like. And please give us some support and let us know how we can do better on our next mock draft to support your team. All right. Anything else, Mike?
Penis.
All right, going with that one. All right, thank you for watching the Lineman Lounge mock draft 1.0 for the 2024 draft. We will see you later.